So if you've been an entrepreneur for a while, you have probably tried manifestation. Question is, how is that working for you? Because I have to be honest, it was kind of a mystery for me for a while, which is why I have an amazing, badass guest on this episode for you, and I can't wait to dive in. I have many questions. And welcome to the From Grind to Grace podcast, the show for the alternative entrepreneur, the entrepreneur who is ready to flip the script, challenge the norms, and choose freedom first. You know why? Because when freedom is not just a destination, when freedom is the path, success just tags along, because that's how the universe works. Question is, how do you embrace freedom first? And this is what this podcast is about. The idea and the mission is to make this the new standard in the industry, the default for yourself, for your children, and for humanity. And so now, let's dive in, and I want to welcome my beautiful, bold, and as I said, badass guest, Salvija, who is, guess what? She is Lithuanian, just like me, and so it's so funny, funky, and whatever it is to be chatting on this podcast, with another Lithuanian in English. And it's also amazing, right? Aren't we lucky, right? That we can express ourselves in English freely and, express ourselves and say our message and, all those kind of things. So, and the funny thing is that we keep mixing Lithuanian and English when we speak to each other. There are things we can't even say Lithuanian anymore.
So it becomes easy in English.
Right. So I'm so happy to have you here as my guest, Salvija. And so because I did not have an intro of you, I don't know what you want to say about yourself. So I'll let you do that for yourself.
Oh, that's, I think, always the most hardest question to introduce myself. But let's roll with it. What's going to come out? Let's surprise everybody, and including myself. So for everybody, as Edita said, my name is Salvija. I am a clinical hypnotherapist, abuse expert, and mind programmer. Also founder of Body Map Method and, well, Potato Queen. I think Potato Queen is the most actually important title in the world for me. I do work a lot with abuse victims. I love liberating people. I love igniting people's badass, just breaking the rules, being free, and just really embrace it, fuck it energy, and just go after what the fuck you want.
That is beautiful and really sounds promising. And so as you were telling about yourself, I had this question. So how the hell did you end up with this other topic, the manifestation topic? What's the story? How did it fall on your lap, among all the other things that you do?
I believe, as we are both from Lithuania, and this thing wasn't around, we grew up, I grew up in a very kind of abusive home, and so many limitations, so many rules, so many things you need to be this way, that way. I always wanted to be rich and famous. I didn't quite understand what the fuck that means, because I'm just like, oh my God, I saw TV magazine, Shakira, Beyonce, Britney Spears, and I'm like, I want this. And my grandmother said, oh, this is only for special people. And I'm like, who the fuck is special people? How do you become special people? Oh, they're born that way. And for me, it was always very odd. How the hell do you make this? are you born with a tag, or someone tags you that you're special? So it was always interesting. And I was a really massive fan of fantasy movies, but like, superheroes, people having some crazy powers. And I truly believe that our mind and body is capable of that. So intuitively, I started manifesting since a very young age because I wanted to see how body is capable, how mind is capable. And my first manifestation was probably family, because I never had one. I did have, let's say, on the paper, but I never had that warmth, connection, and like really, really belonging somewhere. So for me, yes, I wanted to be rich and famous, which clearly who fucking doesn't when they're going through teenage years. But I really wanted to have family, and I just started dreaming about it. Like, what do I want? How do I want this? Clearly, never mind the whole damn lineage of the abusive relationship that I got myself into. But it was like, really, how do I get there? Like, what does that look like? How do you manifest that thing? So when the word manifest came around, I'm just like, oh shit, that sounds powerful. And really like going into that and understanding how is even manifestation works, which clearly then I figured out there's probably 5,000 ways you can manifest everything that you want. And it became confusing to me. Just like, everybody's like, this way is right, this way is right, this way is right, which really can put you into like blind spot, like which way is actually the right one, which is like, you just go with the thing that works for you the most. So if someone knows me, they know I have a masterclass, Manifest Like a Serial Killer. I love manifesting like a serial killer, but you put that thing to other person, they're just like, oh my God, never in my life. I'm not going to do it. So it's like, for me, it was understanding how I love manifesting, what is that for me, and how I can do it the easiest way and get the results fastest, because I can admit I am lazy majority of the time.
I love that. I also love the name of your program, Manifest Like a Serial Killer. That's a killer title. So because we are talking about two entrepreneurs and about freedom and about stepping out of grind, because let's face it, most entrepreneurs grind like crazy, and they don't even realize that, right? Or some of them maybe do, but it's very, very hard for them to pinpoint what the hell is going on, right? What the hell is going on? Why am I grinding? Why things are not working? And those kind of things. So what role do you think manifestation or learning how to manifest actually plays in this idea of actually leading with freedom in your business?
No, that's a very good question. So for me, it comes into understanding yourself, because what manifestation is, you need to understand what the hell you want and really specifically go into detail. It's not about the how, but what do you want? Majority of the time when I ask my clients, what do you want? They're like, oh, I would like nice relationship. Cool. What the fuck is nice relationship? They would be nice to me. They would be trustworthy. That's cool. But, do you want ugly person? Do you want nice person? Do you want specific things? So people very often think very generically, what the hell do they want? So for example, if you take a business owner, oh yeah, I want to make 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month. Cool. Like, how does that look like for you? How do you feel? Well, how does your business look like? Everything. Oh, I don't know. Great. How the fuck are you going to manifest that? Because going into mind programming, I understand how much subconscious plays into manifestation. And if we're not specific, then you get a generic. So, it's like you're going to say, oh, I want a drink. You're going to get a Coke. Oh, but I don't want a Coke. Fine, take Sprite. Oh, but I don't want a Sprite. See, the shit is not going, but I just want a drink. So
it is a drink, right? That's what
exactly,
you
it's a drink. So it's like, universe, what the fuck do you want them from me? So I do believe that people do not go very specifically into what they truly desire. But then there is a next part. Can you handle it? Because I always joke with my clients, they're like, yeah, I want to be rich. And I said, cool, your bank account is right now, let's say 5,000. Boom, there is $1 million in your account. What happens? You shit your pants for a second. Like, you're excited, but you're scared at the same time. And then, like, what the fuck do I do? So most likely you're gonna do some sort of stupid nonsense with that money, like spending, giving away, or you're just like, oh my God, I have so much money, and you overspend it. Instead of, I'm going to go and understand how to hold, let's say, million in my bank account so I can calibrate to the next level, and really going inside and understanding nervous system, understanding how body reacts to it. Because I do find that people forget the body part in all of that, because especially entrepreneurs, they're just like, yeah, I'm going to go and do it. And when I look into the basics, because we're human beings, we're not too far from animals, we cannot avoid, what do we need for like living, like literally surviving? We need food, we need sleep, we need to feel safe so we're not at the threat, we need to reproduce, we need water. And if any of these needs are disrupted, which majority of the time the sleep and the nervous system is disrupted for entrepreneurs, your body cannot focus on to manifesting. It's like, I haven't slept 3 days. How about 1.5 million? The body's like, fucking go to sleep. No, but I want to manifest 5 million. That shit doesn't work like that. You need to regulate yourself first. You need to give yourself basic needs, so you really, really can focus on the next level.
And it's so cool that you actually touched on this, because I bet, if somebody who has been in entrepreneurship for a while, they've tried it.
Yeah.
And they ended up like me at some point a while ago. I ended up almost like blaming myself because it wasn't
Of
working.
course. Yep.
Because the only source that I was following was these, I don't know, surface level law of attraction, stuff, like
Yeah.
writing up this statement and reading it to myself in the morning and in the evening, like the advice is. And not only was it not manifesting, but also every time I read it, I just didn't feel good about it. Just I was not connecting to it until at some point later when, actually, oh, it's like deep inner work actually. And,
Yeah.
if you don't do it, it creates conflict and, those kind of things. So I think this episode is very important for that reason as well, to bring this message, into my audience for them to hear. And, but the other thing that what's fascinating for me is that when we speak about manifestation, it's almost like we speak about spirituality. It's almost like we speak about meditation. It's almost like we speak, like it's deep
Yeah.
subconsciousness work, and all those kind of things kind of lead into that same place almost every single time. And I'm not even surprised that you
Yeah.
do this therapy work and also this, right? It's not that much of a
Exactly.
difference, isn't it?
No, and I call the spirituality side bullshit in manifestation. Honestly, do you think a serial killer is spiritual? Of course not. Do you think they meditate? No. Like, do they, I don't know, do yoga? Yeah, sure. So, billionaires, are they spiritual? Majority of the time, no. Some of them are pure assholes. So that proves to us that you don't need to be spiritual. You don't need to like, I think I'm gonna get 5 million. No, you're not. Like, that's not how you're gonna get it. So in that case, it really shows that you start with yourself, but you start with the basics. You start with your basic needs. Are your basic needs met? If not, that means your subconscious mind is going to be programmed to keep you alive. That means your body is not going to be calibrating in regards of getting to your dreams. And you're going to be like you know, as you said, getting frustrated, something feels off, and you're just like, shit, where do I go next? But if you don't know yourself and you're not getting help, you're just like, I'm gonna figure this out, how fucking Lithuanians loves to do. Don't pay anyone, figure it out yourself. You're kind of going into the rat race with yourself, and it's just gonna feel like, oh my God, nothing's working, I can't do this. But people think that if you write it down, meditate, and by some sort of fucking miracle, the thing is going to happen. It's not going to happen. And this is why people get frustrated with manifestations. They take it personally, they get angry. And personally, probably getting angry is the one best of the things, because you start understanding that something is not going right. But then how deep you go after that, that's the question. I love grilling my clients. I love calling out the bullshit, because every time they want something, there is 101 excuse why not to do it, or some limitation or something. And I'm like, just cut the bullshit. Like, you know, oh, what people gonna think about me when I get a lot of money? Who fucking cares? If someone is gonna say something, it's because they can't handle their shit. Go ahead and enjoy your life. Oh, but what if someone is going to judge me or call me, you know, like I've changed when I got money? Who fucking cares? Like, these people are not gonna think about you 5 seconds when you're dead. So are we really caring what they're going to think about us? Of course not. So it's just like there is also that level of audacity to going after what you want, because it's so easy to write on the paper and like meditate. It's just like, you know, in some ways self-sabotaging, that I'm going to do the bare minimum. Maybe I'm going to get the biggest thing, but subconsciously I'm going to prove myself that it doesn't work. So I'm a failure. I can't do this. It's not available to me. So there's a lot of that game comes into play. And when I start to unravel with the mind, that's where I love do mind programming. It's just like you're bullshitting yourself all the way, and you're not manifesting, you're actually self-sabotaging.
Yeah. So a couple of things maybe just to chip in. So I think like so I've been into meditation for many years, right? But meditation was never for me as like, I never categorized myself as those people who go to these specific retreats, or belong to some movements, or
Yeah,
they have a name to it, that they are this or that or whatever. For me it's more about like understanding and working on that subconscious programming.
yeah,
you
it's
know
really a nervous like
Right.
system.
So,
Right?
and I understand the word spiritual, like really spiritual, not snobby spiritual, but like really spiritual. And I have a lot to say about how it's understood in the West, as opposed to how it's understood in
Yeah,
the East, and those kind of things, whatever. But what's interesting is that so these are all different ways to get to that programming and work on it.
exactly.
And manifestation can be one of those ways as well. It's so fascinating to me. It can also, it's literally like also working on your subconscious programming in the same, and then and correct me if I'm wrong, then if you do that, then other areas of your life get affected in the positive way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. So it sounds to me that if someone is grinding away and then experience all sorts of byproducts like guilt, shame, those kind of things, they can't manifest, right? In order to
Yeah,
manifest, you need to step out, whichever way it works, whichever you do first. Maybe it's a combination of things, right? But what would be your suggestion or advice how to actually, if somebody, let's say it's a mom, entrepreneur, trying to create autonomy for herself, trying to create like decent income, wealth. But like right now, she's sitting, blaming herself, things are not working. She's giving her all and she's done all the right things, and she feels stuck and she is not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. What could she do to somehow steer the wheel and, change the direction and start improving the way things are?
I would go really deep in the beginning, and this is where people are, I found, very often scared to be honest with themselves. For example, write down what do you desire, and then write down why you can't have it. Because I know at that point there is a deep belief why you can't have it. And just be really honest. If, let's say, the reason is, oh, I can't have it because I'm not good enough, I can't have it because I'm not smart enough, I can't have it because I don't have enough audience or something, or I can't have it because I am a mom, then really sit with that, because that bullshit comes from somewhere, most likely from the childhood, from most likely someone said something. There is so much society conditioning towards us, and especially women, that we need to be a certain way, or to make money you need to be something good enough. But then what the hell is good enough? No one tells you what is good enough. So you're like in the loop of, I'm trying to be good enough, but I don't know how to measure myself to be good enough. So it, like, the mind then struggles to put, like, are we good enough? Maybe not. And then we are so good at putting ourselves down. We're so good at not believing in ourselves. So then the manifestation becomes like a torture. You're just like, I'm trying to manifest wealth, but then I'm not good enough. And then we sort of bash ourselves, but then I bash ourselves that we can't manifest it. And especially I find it with moms, because they also want to be a good mother. And society puts a really massive pressure on mothers to be perfect, to be amazing. You can't be perfect. I'm an animal mom. I fuck up every day. So I can't even imagine with the baby, or you have a child. Like, there's going to be fuck ups happening. Just be okay with it and accept yourself with the flaws and with the strengths. And then once you figure out that, I can't have it because, and then ask where this is coming from. And then your subconscious mind, whatever pops in instantly, is going to be like, someone said something, or I was told, or my parents did this and this. And then really sit with yourself, because that is 90% is going to come from childhood. You're not a child anymore. Take responsibility. Take the power that you can change anything. So if someone criticizes you as a child that, oh, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, or you're like failure, fuck it, you're not a child anymore. Really come into your power. You're a grown-up. You can make decisions. You can make money. You can move around the world. You can do what the hell you want. No one can tell you anything. As a child, we depend on grown-ups. But the belief we create as a child tracks into the adulthood, and we still believe it as a child. We still think we need permission. The only permission we need is from ourselves. So I always say, embrace the fuck it energy and go for it. It's going to be scary. It's going to be really, really nerve-wracking at some points. It can be, side effects that people criticize, or let's say you need to change the circle of friends. But if you want your manifestation to become a reality, you do need to take those steps and rip yourself from the current reality into the new one. And this is why successful people manifest, because they are okay to rip themselves off, go through the uncomfortable process to go into the new reality. And I've done it that multiple times. I ripped myself out. Jesus, I even went to down Florida in less than 24 hours. That was so uncomfortable. That was so crazy. I had a plan on the weekend with my husband. I was just like, I'm going to ditch that.
Oh.
So it was like, because I was okay going after it. And it doesn't mean I'm neglecting my family. It means that I'm making this move, and then I know I'm going to be not like better, because I don't want to use better word, but I'm just going to bring new wind, new inspiration into my family, into my relationship,
Right.
because my husband knows I'm crazy.
He knows what he subscribed for.
He knows.
And yeah, thank you for actually going at this good enough thing. In our industry, we keep hearing that, done is better than perfect, except what's perfect? You know,
There is no perfect. It's nonsense.
like, I mean, so how do you know what's, you know, the better is done than perfect? What does that mean if we don't know what perfect is? And the reality is, right, we judge everything based on how we feel about those things, right? And
Yeah.
am I good enough? Who knows? To me, it's I am not, right? What
Yeah,
is enough? Let's say, okay, you know, like I've heard this, you know, 80%. Like, what is 80%? How do we
exactly.
know? Like, what is the 100% then? Right? So what is the 80%? And I know that I know, and I actually felt for a while that well, I intellectually knew I was good enough, more than good enough. And yet, something inside of me was stopping me, right?
Because
So
your parents told you that you're not good enough.
maybe there was some of that in my childhood in some maybe different ways than for other people, you
Exactly.
know, but there was a big baggage as well that I had to actually do everything very well as well,
Here you
which
go.
I guess that meant as well I was never good enough because I need to be
Yep.
this, you know, as well, which wasn't told to me directly, but I guess that's what that meant to me,
The
right?
beauty of the whole belief system that you don't need to actually say the words, you're not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Enough with the actions, oh, you can do better. You can do better. For the child, that is, I'm not good enough. And we all had it. We all had it. School, teachers, parents saying, you can do better. I know you can do better, which they maybe didn't mean in a bad way. Mine was literally meant in a bad way. But the belief for the child is that, oh, I'm not good enough. And this is it. That's all you need to start doubting yourself. And that grows. So
Mm-hmm.
when people come into I'm not good enough or any other belief that makes them feel smaller, it's quite funny that they have, let's say, 20, 30 years of being professionals in I'm not good enough. And
Mm-hmm.
they flip it, say I'm good enough. And they do for a week and they're like, oh, I still doubt myself. And I said, you're rewriting the program of 30 years, let's say, I'm not good enough. And I said, you will need to flex that muscle a little bit more to like really come into that because yes, I use hypnosis, it's really fast, but there's also a habit that people create, you know. If I do something and it fails, oh, I'm not good enough. No, it doesn't mean you're not good enough. That means you're actually doing something and learning and moving forward. Failure teaches us.
Yeah, and the other thing that I liked about what you said, so the first step is actually to write up why you think you can't have it or you can't do it, as
Yeah,
opposed to, I guess, most people telling, you know, you need to look at why you can do
yeah.
it and why you can have it. You know, so I'm gonna try myself because I guess then the next step is to challenge what you tell yourself that you can't do it.
Exactly. Because it's
And
bullshit.
yeah, so, and I like that idea where every time you feel resistance or something negative, it's indication that you are thinking something that is not true.
Yes, and this is what people forget. So I work a lot with inner darkness. I love with the side that people don't want to touch it. I have my skeletons in the closet. Do not open the door. No, let's open it. Let's look into that, all of that. Because cool, light is nice. Why I can manifest it, it's all good. But if you cannot acknowledge and understand your darkness, you're missing 50% of yourself. We are both have darkness and light. We have something we want to hide, we have something we want to show. But why people crumble in the light is that, oh my God, someone said something that touched on the skeleton. What if they know? What if they know? And then everything crumbles. But when you sit down with your darkness and you're just like, cool, I was told I'm a damn failure. I literally cannot reach anything. I will not achieve anything in my life. Right, okay. Is that true? No. Well, cool, fuck that shit. I will do whatever I want. And then when someone tells you again, like, oh, you're not going to reach for your dreams, you're just like, of course I will, because you already acknowledged the darkness. You already saw it. You already looked in the eyes. You've gone through uncomfortable. And this is the true power, because I was also, when I was going through my sort of healing journey, you deal with the trauma, you don't touch it, you don't look into negatives, you focus on positives. That's great. But every time I received criticism, I wanted to cry, I wanted to hide, I wanted to literally disappear because it was that painful. And when I started going deeper into myself, like, why am I so reactive into criticism? What's going on? I started to realizing deeper beliefs that kind of were sabotaging me into really becoming myself. So then once I became friends with my darkness and all of the skeletons and having a good chat, now when I receive criticism, I can really differentiate, is it about me or is it about the person? And 95% it is about the other person. Because when I receive constructive criticism, it's like, okay, cool, yeah, I'm going to look into that and implement or change, because it's usually about the work or delivery or something. It's not about actually me as a personality. And this is where it is highly missed, to ignore the darkness. And I always say deep dive into your darkness, because once you become besties, no one can do shit. You're like grounded, you're strong, you're in. And guess what? Manifesting becomes much easier because you're grounded with yourself. When you're standing wobbly, it's like, I want 5 million, but I'm not really sure, can I handle it? The energy is wobbly. And money is going to be like, fuck that shit. We're not doing it. You can't handle yourself. How are you going to handle us? But when you're grounded and you're just like, I want that, I can hold it, I'm ready, I'm going to take the step. So then it's like message to the universe, cool, take it in because you can handle the challenge.
In other words, you can't trick yourself
You can't.
into success, into wealth. You can't do it by lying to yourself. So you need to be brutally honest with yourself first.
Exactly. Like if you speak with, I'm not going to say Elon Musk because I have some questions, but like, for example, if you really go to the people who make, let's say, have multi-billion companies, if you have a chat with them and let's say not kind of a surface, they really acknowledge their shit. They know their weaknesses. Richard Branson was very open about it, actually, that he was like, I hire people who are better at things that I suck at. Now, let's look at the solopreneurs and spiritual world. I'm fucking good at everything. I'm going to wear 50 hats and pretend I can do all of them really, really well. That's why you're crashing, because you're not admitting where you're not really good at. And if we cannot do that in business, that means we cannot do in the personal life. And if we can't do in the personal life, we can't do successful business. We can't attract wealth. That's why we're fucking riding, because we're fighting with ourselves. Once you acknowledge yourself, I literally sold 3 retreat spots while I was traveling and barely doing any sales. I sold another 3 without even marketing. I just sent a couple of messages to people that like, there might be a retreat, sign me in. Because I'm not fighting with myself. I'm not fighting with the world. I'm just like, I'm figuring one step at a time, but I also know my strengths and my weaknesses. I know where I suck and where I'm really good at. And I'm not afraid to admit that, because I'm not perfect. I don't need to be good enough. I know I'm fucking awesome. And that's why I'm projecting into the world instead of, oh my God, fingers crossed, if I speak with people, they believe I'm good enough. They're not going to see through the shield that I'm not good enough. Or am I doubting myself? Oh God. Oh, they looked at me the wrong way. Oh my God, maybe they feel I'm not good enough. Like that's literally the conversations with people who don't feel good enough. They're just like, I'm going to pretend I'm good enough. And then when I see into their soul, then I'm like, there's shit inside. And they're like, oh my God. They literally start to choke. And I'm like, I'm a very wrong person to tell a lie.
Brutal honesty. Yeah, it's so true in every area of life,
Yeah.
including your business. Guess what? It's the same. The only thing is that, we are affected by certain programming we are not aware of. But now that we know that we are affected, now we can start digging,
Yep.
right? And like, there are so many people who won't, even if you tell them, right? But like, let's be honest, if you really want to be successful, there is no other way. And that's, I think,
No.
also, isn't that like a real way to embrace freedom? Like, can you actually become free if you're not honest with yourself?
Exactly. It was Halloween, so I done really nice Halloween makeup. And my mom said, let's go to the restaurant. And I'm like, fuck it, let's go. And she's like, are you going like this? And I said, yeah, why not? She's like, you seriously going like this? I'm like, it's Halloween, it's a cute makeup. So on that day, I ran my program like this. I joined my mentor's program like this with the Halloween makeup. And I went to town with the Halloween makeup because I can't give two shits. I don't become bothered. I went to Florida. Every lady is already with a gown, rolling in, me in PJs. The event starts 6:30, ladies. Until then, I am PJs. I'm not fucking rolling the glam the all day because I don't want to. I'm tired after flight. I need a little bit coziness before I put the whole glam on. But then people are very not listening to themselves. What do they want? And they're like literally like, oh my God, what are people gonna think about me? Oh my God, everybody's in the glam. I need to be in the glam. No, what the hell do you want? Do what you want. And honestly, everybody remembers me as a girl who fucking rolled in PJs majority of the time. Literally, the event finishes, joggers, PJs. Everybody's standing like he's like, my legs are hurting. And I'm like, ditch the heels, ditch the everything. Like, it's cool to put the glam on. I love it. But it's like if something makes you uncomfortable, let's say this is not something that you don't want to do, don't do it. I wanted to go with Halloween. I scared shit the hell out of people. And some people smiled. It's different. I love it. Once I become besties with my darkness and not really bothered with anything, I am so liberated. Literally, like, okay, one thing I'm not gonna do run naked in the street because I just don't want to. But apart from that, I'm gonna do whatever I want and I don't give fucks what people say because I'm good with myself and I can project that into the world instead of, oh my God, fingers crossed someone believes me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so cool. And I think, and I wonder what you have to say about it. I think a lot of people also have this thing going on in their head that if I am completely myself, that's gonna offend someone. Someone is not gonna be happy. Someone is gonna be hurt. I don't want to do this to people. I know. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. I know you can't wait to answer this. Okay.
So these are the main limitations that people tell themselves. But it's just like it's such a bullshit because, as I said, people who like think something about you negative, like, when I see some other liberated people, I don't always like admire it in regards of what they're doing. I'm like, but cool, it makes you happy. You go ahead and do that. I will never be like, oh my God, how dare you? This looks disgusting. Like, for me, it's just like, cool, I support your liberation. But what people often do, due to that inner critic and then outer critics, is just like, I'm going to limit myself. And all I can say, fuck it. Like, close your eyes for a second is going to be fucking really scary. And imagine, like, you ignore the critic, you ignore the limitations. What will you do? And then people say, oh, I would say what I want to say. I would dress the way I want to dress. I would run my business in that way. I would be this type of mom. I would be this type of wife or husband or whatever. And I'm like, cool, go and do it. Over what my parents are going to say. Fuck parents. Start fucking off everyone's opinion. Because when people cannot stand their boundaries, and it doesn't need to be like the bang, big bang, boom, like fuck off everybody. It can be baby steps, like, you set boundaries a little bit, then you set more, you set more. It's very important to make yourself feel safe in that process because our nervous system is really struggling when we're not feeling safe. But our nervous system always thinks we're going to die through the change. So it's all only telling your brain that I'm not going to die. There is no tiger on the corner, all right? We're not getting eaten by it. So you just like calm yourself down. I'm safe and go and do the things because allowing limitation of what people think about me is the biggest bullshit of them all. Those people don't even remember you.
Right. I think it gets trickier when it's people who are in your life you know, and
Parents.
they just are, you know, but I think it's still a choice. Are you with you or against you? You know, something like that, and which is actually harder and which is serving you or not. And from my own experience, and I've had these tough situations in my circle, in my life, my immediate life, apart business and stuff, you know. But what I've learned the hard way, the more I drop myself into that energy of making everyone else happy, and the longer I wait to start setting boundaries, the more setting boundaries start, you know, stirring the pot and
Yeah.
all sorts of emotions and all sorts of uh, feelings in other people, the more they get back at you for setting boundaries because you waited too long, and they just take whatever you were doing before for granted. It's their reality now, part of their identity, basically.
Yeah. And I think family and a close circle is going to be the one that challenges the boundaries the most. Then it's going to be the clients, because, like, as much as, well, I also experience, I'm going to set boundaries with my clients, and then client challenges the boundaries, and I'm like, oh shit, what do I do now? So it's like understanding these things, but people struggle to set boundaries and deal with it due to two reasons: people pleasing and being rejected. So rejection comes from a very survival, because in a very old age, well, not age, days, we needed to belong to the tribe to survive. And if you don't belong to the tribe, you're most likely dead. These days, we don't need to belong to the tribe. We're fine. No one is going to murder you. Well, maybe, you never know. You know, there are serial killers. But it's like, no one is gonna, like, you're not gonna die because you're not part of the tribe. So, you know, fuck it, allow people to criticize you. And second one is people pleasing. And people pleasing comes in from the childhood survival. For the child to survive, child understands that it needs to be liked. That means I need to please my parents. If I don't please my parents not going to feed me. They will not protect me. They will not take care of me. So we learn to people please. And then when we go to the school or something, parents always say, be a good girl, be a good boy, do not cause the problem, do not make people feel uncomfortable. Oh, fucking right. We now have around 20 years of program. Be fucking good. And we try to set the boundary, and the boundary is painful. And then it backfires, and you're just like, oh, this is uncomfortable. Maybe I just people please. It is a process to ditch that conditioning. And we all gone through it. Someone's more, someone's less. If someone experienced abuse, this is going to be even more challenging. But is it possible? Yes, of course, I did it. And I experienced more than 20 years of abuse and behave and fit in the box and people please and everything. So I was just like, now, if I can go through that and literally give zero fucks and do the way I want to do it, then everybody can.
Yeah, and I had this question in my head before. Now you sort of hinted that again, if you could share some examples from your own journey, like things that you found about yourself, things that you overcame. And I'm asking because, you know, so
Yeah.
many people actually relate, and so many things are very similar to many, many of us.
Yes, yes. So I definitely can share also part of my story, because I think it's going to a little bit give a context what the hell I gone through. So as I mentioned, I was born into abusive family, but how it rolls into was that I did experience heavy physical abuse, mental abuse. I was starved to change my sort of approach, to bend my kind of a spirit.
Carved.
Yes. Beating was part of it. Then horrors. My father was incredibly rich, so that means we couldn't get help. He had guns. So I lived for a very long time thinking, will I live the next day? I had to escape the abuse through various of times. My pets were killed to also manipulate me. It was a lot of
Oh
things.
my God.
gone through. And then I survived 2 attempts to my life, which caused me into escaping to England, because I knew probably the third one will be that I'm going to be buried somewhere. And I did try to go to police. It didn't work. So for me, it was like a really, this is where I came from. Of course, I developed self-harming addiction. I was cutting myself. I was thinking of suicide. So it was all of that darkness coming in. And clearly in Lithuania at that point, I could only go to psychologists, which was not too bad, but then originally still didn't quite help me, because I was just like, you come in every session and you just bubble in that shit. And on top of that, I've gone into clearly abusive relationships. So at that point, I didn't see any day of the light. Like, how can I live life without abuse? How can I live myself, like live being myself? It was not possible. Every time I'd been myself, I was actually beaten physically and mentally. So I had so many limiting beliefs that I'm not good enough, I'm not nobody, I need to just stay quiet. And funny enough, how my body was reacting to all of that. Every time I didn't say what I wanted to say, I used to get massive inflammations, sore throat, my voice was going off. I had allergies. I supposed to had heart surgery, digestive surgery, and stomach surgery. My body was just going all over the place. Like, sort of, I was trying to fit myself into the box, not to be abused. At the same time, my body was screaming that something is wrong. So it was like health problems, mental problems. I was just like so fucked up that I very often thought that if I kill myself, it's just easier because I don't know how to fix it. So once I started deciding to, actually, I started studying law, which was very weirdly empowering to me, because my father was always playing with the law, and I started seeing where is kind of a bullshitting us. So that empowered me to some level. But then another thing that empowered me was Desperate Housewives, because I was seeing the series and I thought, oh my God, if someone made them, someone makes TV series based on example. So that means somewhere in the world might be a chance that I can have family. I can be loved, maybe. And this is what I started developing. But to go through these patterns and to rip them apart was sometimes very painful. And I can't lie, like, to go out of that box that I was conditioned for more than 20 years, it wasn't easy. On the top of that, my father was hunting me. I was searched by the police the whole year in Lithuania. There was official search warrant to find me and to deliver me. So I was hiding for the whole year not to be found. So it was like so much happening. And police was coming to my house. My mom was hiding me. Then it was going to my work. My colleagues were supporting me when to come to work, when not. They were like literally tricking the police because everybody knew what's happening. So I've gone through massive like stressors and danger and everything. So it used to be like really dark sometimes. So that's why when I say to someone that if I can come over this shit, then everybody can. It's just like to understanding the tools, your nervous system, your body, and with what kind of a stuff you're dealing with, and getting support for yourself. That is the recipe to do that. And it's like, sometimes the mainstream advice not lead anywhere, because I followed many mainstream advices, and let me tell you, that made me feel very often not good enough.
Wow. Wow. I don't know what to say. This is something I haven't heard about you. Oh, wow.
Yes, I have I haven't mentioned when we chatted.
So, okay. Um, so I guess the question is then, what happened next, and how did you manage to get to the bottom of these things and overcome them?
For me, it's like I always had some sort of fire in me, and I always joke I'm a stubborn goat. Like, the goat that like you're just gonna keep bouncing. That's me. Even if I feel that I'm going to give up, I lay down for a couple of days, like, fuck it, I'm giving up. And then something happens, is like, bitch, move your ass, move it. And I put myself into so much trouble. I was in self-development, scammed. I used to jump into the office. I sometimes even used to believe, like, because I think always people, when they go into self-development, they look for a right answer, for good decision. Let me tell you, people, I fucked up more times than I can count. Just FYI, in case if you fuck up, shit happens. So I started wanting to understand how I can deal with myself, not necessarily fix it, but I'm like, I'm a messed situation. I want to have a family. How the fuck do I go from here to here? And ridiculously enough, I gone into financial training. And financial training had hypnotherapist. And I thought, oh, fuck it. I've been 7 years in psychotherapy. What he's going to say. He asked me one question. I started bawling. And for me to cry, by the way, that means a lot. I'm not a crier. I just bawling. And he's like, well, therapy doesn't work, doesn't it? And then I got a glimpse of what the hell is hypnotherapy, what is subconscious mind, how it controls us, how it works. So I've gone into like rabbit hole learning. And then I thought, oh my God, if I could learn to do something like this, because at that point, someone actually asked me how to leave abuse safely. And I thought, I don't do this as a work. Like, I never done this. I just done this for myself, not to get killed, because my father easily could have killed me, no questions asked, because he was that rich. So I then helped a few people to leave active abuse. And I thought, gosh, I'm starting to understand the trauma effect, how the beliefs and everything in aftermath. And I'm like, shit, I want to also understand for myself and then to other people. At that point, I was with my husband and still getting used to relationship. I never had a loving relationship. I never understood what it means to be loved. I was going away from chaos addiction. That's another thing that people don't consider, that we are addicted to chaos. And I was like learning what it is peace, what is peace at home, how it feels to feel safe at home, how it feels to be safe in a relationship, that your partner is not going to cheat on you. So it was a lot of going through uncomfortable and becoming comfortable. And then once I started studying hypnotherapy, I was like, holy shit, this is what people don't talk about much. That, okay, cool, we know about subconscious mind, we know how subconscious affects us, but we still don't go after tools that really, really can support us, which for me, this is hypnotherapy. This is going into subconscious mind. Majority of the tools and manifestation touches on the conscious mind. Conscious mind only affects us 5%, subconscious mind 95%. So I'm like, what the fuck are we doing, people? So I started digging into the subconscious, and that was a fucking damn Pandora's box, let me tell you. So I started going, and this is when I started looking into my ugly, because I'm, oh, hello, darkness, we never met before.
Wow. So hypnotherapy was the thing, right?
Yeah, because I've tried so many tools before, to be honest, and I always failed. I even been to T. Harv Eker Millionaire Mindset, or however the thing is called. That was at the time in Lithuania. And I was like, cool, I'm going to say these affirmations and I'm going to go. But then again, I was taking back a few steps and I'm like, shit, but I'm doing everything and it doesn't work. So what is going on? And then when I delve into hypnosis and subconscious mind, and I'm like, no fucking wonder it didn't work, because my whole belief system is I'm a failure, I'm not good enough. So I can scream in front of the mirror as much as I want. It's not going to work. So I was like, then learning hypnosis tools, and then I trained properly with Marissa Peers. Like, how does it work? How do we code our mind? And what is the language? How do we switch the language? How subconscious mind listens to the language? And then I realized the ridiculous thing that I always wanted to be a programmer for computers. I just couldn't deal with the coding language. But I so easily picked up how to code the mind. And it just was like this, and popping. And then when I used to speak with someone, I instantly started picking up their whole belief system, how they communicate, what to shift. So it was like really nice. But this is what I always say to people: tried hypnosis? They're like, no, try it.
Right, right. I think there are still some false beliefs about
Oh, yeah.
hypnosis, a lot of it, right? So for somebody who is skeptical about it, what could you tell about why it works? And I think some of that is around maybe it's not safe, maybe I'm not gonna act as me when I'm in that
Yeah.
state or something like that. So how could you explain that to them?
So, first of all, people need to understand that there are two differences between stage hypnosis, where people make ridiculous things with you, and into healing hypnosis, where you stay conscious. And with the healing hypnosis, you do not lose control. You do remember the session. You can stop the session at any point. And no, hypnotherapists cannot bring you beliefs that are not yours. Because in that case, I would be fucking rich and be fucked off somewhere in the island and just like, you know what, I don't need to do anything at this point. But and hypnotherapists cannot take over you. Hypnotherapists cannot do anything to you that you like, don't want to. This is what people don't understand, how powerful the inner network is. That if you come, let's say, with me to the session and you say, I want more confidence. And if I start telling you run naked, your inner network of intelligence is going to be, hold on a second, we came for confidence, this doesn't match, reject, reject, reject. So inner system protects itself because you clearly know what you're coming for. So this is the beauty of our mind and system, that we have such a powerful setup. It's just we don't really know how to use it. And this is where I love starting to specialize, because like it's nice. And hypnosis is simply communicating with the subconscious mind. It's like a hard drive. It's like, when you have thousands of pictures in your phone and you're not really sure. Oh, someone says, oh, remember that day and you took a picture and you're like, fucking hell, where do I find this? So your subconscious mind is literally that. You ask a question and it's like instantly, boom, here you are. And it just saves the time. And then if you need to rewrite the program or belief, subconscious level allows you to do that. Because if you try on the conscious level, your conscience, like in the bottom, is like, good fucking luck with that. Because it's literally gonna be like, you're gonna go to sleep, I'm gonna override it, I'm telling you. But if you do that on the subconscious level and you make it as a safe transition or change, your subconscious is going to be like, cool, we don't need to believe that anymore, it's fine, let it go, create a better belief.
Wow. Yeah, and back in the day, long time ago, I used to think, oh my God, they can't do anything with me, what I mean? But that's obviously not the case, especially when you talk about healing hypnosis, right?
Yes.
So that is really cool. And that's something I haven't tried, but I should.
It's so cool because like people come with addictions, 1-2 sessions, boom, gone. I have so many rape victims who try to deal with the trauma for years and years and years. 1 session, boom, done. It's like people who don't believe in hypnosis. I get it if there's a skepticism, but some people just love long healing journey. They're just like, I love to be a victim, I love to be poor. But not everybody is like that. I love personally dealing with that stuff quickly. Like, we don't go to the doctor like, hi, doctor, I have a toothache. Can I hold this for 3 years? What do you think? You're like, fuck no, just deal with it now. I don't want to have it. But with the mind and emotional trauma, we're just like, oh my God, I need to go for years and years and years. No, you come in, you deal with it, boom, go ahead and do something more fun. Why the fuck to
Right.
just simmer in the misery?
Do you think that some people get attached to their victimhood and their, I don't know, pain and stuff like that?
I know so many people like that. And this is why I interview my clients very often, because some of them, like, there are keywords. Nothing ever worked for me, and I don't think if this will. These are very typical victim mentality sayings, because why some things doesn't work. I love Marissa's saying, even bad therapy works. So you might not get like full effect on something, but you will get something if the person is ready to let go,
Right.
deal with it. But some people, like, they love the attention, they love to be poor. It's like in Lithuania, so typical, especially if you notice someone coming in and they're just like, oh, I'm again unwell. And then everybody is like, oh my God, what we can do, etc. Do. This is victim mentality. They thrive on that. Victim mentality loves not taking responsibility. Life is just happening to me. I'm just miserable because I don't know, fucking God decided that. So it's like you instantly can see it's a victim mentality. But people who really want to change, they come in and they say, let's do the session. I'm ready to deal with this.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. It's powerful, honestly. And so what is the link between hypnosis and manifestation?
Ah, well, hypnosis is basically probably, I would say, is a secret weapon because I, for example, do customized recordings for my clients, and what it happens. So our brain struggles to differentiate what is reality, what is not. So if you close your eyes and you tell yourself that you're sitting in a yacht and sipping champagne, your mind is going to be like, damn, bitch, we're rich. And it doesn't understand that it's fake. So what we do with the hypnosis, once you go into the subconscious mind and you visualize what you desire, your mind thinks it's true. So then it helps you to move towards that. But then again, just sitting and, being in a hypnotic state and visualizing, it's not enough. You need to take action. So if it's someone in your, circle is an asshole who's going to be like, you will never make it. It's your job to cut that person or to set a boundary or do something. If, you're sitting and like, I'm thinking client's going to come, but I will not do anything. I will not be visible. Again, you also need to go out and be visible. It just helps you to speed up the process, because I literally done that. I thought, you know what? I want my stripe pop in a little bit like a popcorn. I like that, just like, oh my God, payments coming in. And I literally sat and visualized. I took some screenshots, I put in, I closed my eyes, I really visualized in the detail. And literally what happened during the week, and it started popping off. And I'm like, holy shit, it's been less than a month. So it's like working with that thing. And it's also really nice. You relax at the same time. So the more you can relax your nervous system and work with the subconscious mind, the faster it's going to happen because you have less resistance. But again, I done a work with my beliefs. Because if I would do that thinking, I'm not good, but just close your eyes and think you're a millionaire. And your subconscious mind is like, bitch, that's not what we believe in. That's not what we truly
Yeah.
think about ourselves. So it's like a lot of my clients come to do the sessions to clean the mental baggage.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh my God, because when they see the fast effect, I even had clients losing weight with a random thing. Like, they're like, oh my God, I've lost the weight. I'm like, well, yeah, we cleaned the baggage. And they're like, I never had the results change so fast. Yeah, because we cleaned the baggage. Clean the baggage, people, clean the shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very, very interesting. And I've been actually, doing more and more of those things and, observing my surroundings and starting to see things, how things manifest. And I have this funny story. Maybe a couple of months ago, I decided, no, I need new slippers for this winter. And I literally pictured these leather slippers, kind of like really good quality, blah, 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 those kind of things. And then I even looked at them online, to see if anything is available. I saw something, but maybe not exactly what I wanted, whatever. I forgot about it, right? Then I go to my mom's in a month or so, and I tell mom, I don't know, we were just chatting over a glass of wine, and I was like, well, I need these slippers, if you see something, here, blah, 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 blah. I only started telling her, and she stood up, she walked to the hallway, she got something from there, and she comes back, and I'm like, and she gives me these slippers, and I'm like, Mom, seriously? Exactly like the one that I was picturing, leather, plain front with no decorations, good quality, and I'm wearing them right now, right? And I'm like, Seriously, never before in my life I ever thought about these kind of slippers, and never before in mom's life she ever got slippers like that, and she didn't get them with me in mind, right? Those slippers. It's, but watch, a couple of weeks ago they came over. It was my daughter's birthday. They came over, and the morning after, and I didn't pay attention what my mom was wearing. She only mentioned she brought her own slippers. And in the morning, she's telling me, I'm gonna bin these slippers. They are too small for me, blah, blah, blah. And I look at those slippers for the first time while she was over. I'm like, Mom, that's another pair of slippers of exactly what I was imagining, picturing. I agree. And I kept them and I tried them, and they just right for me, right?
Fair.
And they're too small for her, just right for me, looking exactly the same, leather, plain front, dark color. Oh my God, it's just so funny. I'm like, okay, Mom, now you're gonna load me with lots of these slippers, from now on, just because
You my slipper whisperer.
it's so funny, but it works. But it's just, and one of those things now I use. Okay, you see, it works. It works.
Of course it
Manifestation
works.
works, and it's my now way to remind myself,
Oh
about
yeah.
so.
I manifested insane things. I manifested apartment. I manifested moving to Spain. Like these are like really big things. I manifested my husband, like, and from small ones, even like, as you say, slippers or something just pops in. I even manifested getting rid of people, to be honest. Like, I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want to have a conversation. Can that person just go away? Boom, like literally someone just gone away within hours. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Okay, oh my God, this is everything. This is powerful, emotional, fun. It's so cool chatting with you. It's
Thank you.
so,
Thank you for
so
inviting me.
cool. I have 3 blitz questions I ask all my guests, very quick ones, but before I do that, where can people find you? Like, okay, so because my crowd are entrepreneurs, is there and something you do with entrepreneurs and where they could find you?
Oh, yes, because majority of my clients are entrepreneurs. You can find me online on Facebook, just using my name, Salvija Reiciune. And if you're watching the video, there is the name in the corner. Also on the Instagram, also Salvija Reiciune, or my webpage, scoachingtherapy.com. Just get in touch. I do love terrorizing people. I'm not gonna lie. So just be ready when you contact me.
Yeah, yeah. Either way, I'll put all the links in the show notes so people can click on those links. And so the first question is, when you hear from grind to grace, what comes to your mind?
It comes lightness, like relax. Just it's all good. Instead of just like, oh my God, I'm gonna control everything. Just relax, just let go. It's cool.
Super, super love it. That was my intention, and I just received this name. It
It's
found
a
me.
it's a really good name.
Yeah, thank you. So the other question is, I'm really curious what you're gonna say. What change would you like to see in the world?
Oh, I like that is one of my dreams to change abuse paradigm, how abuse is treated, especially in the legal system, in justice system, in the whole world, and give abuse victims faster recovery instead of how they are now. It's very difficult to find good help. And the second one is to bring back people into connection with their body, with their mind, and themselves, like that trifecta, like really, really. And this is where I bring in my body map method, that to change how we actually communicate with ourselves and to learn to use the brilliance of what we have.
Amazing. And so the third question is kind of related. You partially answered, but maybe you have something to add, and it's, what impact would you personally like to make in the world?
Oh my God, at some point I would like to make a potato festival. That would be so good. People just come and eat potatoes. Apart from that, it's like, um, yeah, for me, it's like mostly abuse because the struggles that I've gone through, and then connecting back with the body because the health issues that I had and the lack of help that I got. And still, when I teach the body map method, I still see how people are detached, how much they cannot read their body, how much they don't understand what's happening. So I always enjoy bringing that power back and then seeing that phase like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah, that.
Wow, love it, love it. Thank you. Thank you. It was really powerful. I absolutely enjoyed this conversation.
You too.
And for the listener, if you enjoyed this episode, I mean, how can you not?
I mean, honestly,
Please share this. Follow the podcast for more stuff like this. And I mean, how can you not share it? You know, I would. So because it's super cool, and it's also super important that we are, and what Salvia said, that we start communicating with ourselves. This is where everything starts, right? So that's what this podcast is about for entrepreneurs. There is no tricking. And I don't know, this is extended outro, but everybody starts with market research, with all the external things, and that's right. That's not where everything really starts.
Unless you're not the face of the business, hiring other people might work. But if you're the face of your business, no.
Right. Exactly. And I think most of us and most in my audience are the face of their business. Okay, with that, thanks everyone for listening, for tuning in, and I'll talk to you in a week. Bye now.